Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited today because today we have my beautiful wife join us. So today I want to welcome you to the Together for Sharon podcast. This is only done about 4 times a month due to many children, work, and so much important things with family, but it's a really pleasure. I'm George, Sharon's son, George, along with my wife, Grether, Sharon's daughter-in-law. We were my mother's caregivers after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, so we started together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who means a lot to me. I hope he knows that. I followed him on his journey for over a year, but just recently, and we'll hopefully touch on it, he went through DBS surgery, and I was worried about him. So happy to see him today so we can kind of catch up. And I do feel we are a family in this fight for a cure. And just so excited and honored to have you, John. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
Thanks. Maybe we could start by telling us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get right into the conversation.
Okay, my name is John Reyes. I am 42 years old. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's going on 6 years ago. I have a 12-year-old son. He's almost going to be 13. Um, I'm really into running and fitness and trying to, do whatever I can to, stave off the progression of the disease. And I think it can be a fun way to do it. So, yeah.
Well, welcome again.
That's awesome, John. We share actually a preteen. We have a 12-year-old daughter, so
There you go.
it started, yeah, the preteen kind of started at 10, but now it's really full preteen.
Yeah.
Does your son like to go exercising with you? Because I know you like cycling and running.
Yeah, he used to like to run with me a lot more than he does now.
Yeah.
I mean, kids get older and they don't want to spend as much time with you. So
No, they don't.
and they definitely don't want to move. So
No, they don't. No, yeah. To get them away from their phones is difficult.
yeah, so it's yeah, he maybe a 5K every once in a blue moon, but
Right.
he used to like run miles and miles with me, but not.
Oh, that's cute. I know you talk about biking and cycling and running. How has that been affected since you have been diagnosed with Parkinson's, or has it at all?
It definitely has. With cycling, I actually took my bike in. We have a really world-class physical therapy hospital here. It's called Tier, and they actually had me bring my bike in to the facility to kind of work on, balancing things because it really was about balance for me.
Right.
None of my doctors wanted me to ride a bike. So of course my instinct was, okay, I want to ride a bike now. If you tell me I can't do something, my
Yeah.
to just go ahead and do it. So yeah, as far as like the Parkinson's goes, it was really, you would think it's more of the cycling part, but that wasn't the hard part. It was the stopping and the getting on and getting off of the bike that was really challenging. And I took the bike in and they sat there and we worked, together to figure out a way for me to get on and off safely.
That's awesome that you have a therapy center. I guess Houston, Texas is huge, so they
Yeah.
have everything there. People go there for
Yeah.
treatments, but you have to happen to have it in your hometown. That's really lucky and fortunate. What are the benefits of exercising? How do you feel after you do it or when you do it consistently?
It's crazy because initially when I'm like first finished with it, I feel more symptomatic.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'll get really tremory and, but then it's like my body needs time to catch up. And
Mhm.
then once I catch up, it's like, it's an amazing, it's an amazing feeling. It's like all the science and stuff that you read about is true at that point.
You feel it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I know, because when you run your first mile, I like running too. George got me into it, but the first mile is the hardest. Your
It
body
is.
screaming, "Why are you doing this? Stop!" And even afterwards too, you're exhausted. But then you feel the mental stability and the calmness, and your body thanks you. for moving, really.
Yeah, definitely. I always tell people I'm a slow starter, no pun intended, but yeah, as the race goes on, I tend to get faster. I usually have negative splits, so
That's cool.
yeah.
Wow.
So, and then if I'm doing a marathon, that's a whole different story because the last mile is always the worst mile in that one. But it's interesting. I don't know. It's always been weird to me that I can run better than I can walk. And
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just the way your brain works.
A body in motion stays in motion.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's almost like it goes on autopilot.
That's cool.
Where when you're walking, it's
A
you're
lot more of an effort, yeah.
there's more movements involved than running. So it's people are always surprised that I have Parkinson's and I run or I go on a bike or whatever. And it's like, well, that's the easy part for me because it's like my brain is just on autopilot. It's a continuous movement. It's not anything where I'm having to stop and go and all kinds of movements like that. So it's actually easier.
You're lucky to have that outlet too.
One thing that inspires me is the use of social media. I always say some individuals couldn't live a private life and there's nothing wrong with it, but by you sharing all of the running races and through DBS, it inspires so many. I know we just did a 5K, which I wasn't able to do last year because I had 4 back surgeries. And so I was going to quit this time during it because it was probably painful and I probably won't do it again, unfortunately. But as I was kind of thinking, even with my ankle no good, my shoulder and my back, I kept thinking of honestly you and all the individuals out there with Team Fox, with battling Parkinson's and still out there, and I didn't give up. So it felt really good. It's a memory I'll probably never forget, even if you don't know it yet. Now you do, but it just shows that through social media, we met, but things that you do, you might not even realize how many people you're actually inspiring, whether with Parkinson's, caregivers, or just regular individuals out there. So I always want to thank you for all you do. Maybe you could touch on social media and how important it is with fighting and battling Parkinson, but also sharing your journey.
Well, yeah, it puts a face to a story, you know what I mean? And I always try, I just think that there's a lot of, for lack of better words, like glossing over things to make, you always want to put your best foot forward on social media or whatever. People don't take pictures of them just waking up looking horrible, morning breath and everything, they get all dolled up and they take a great picture. And I just never, it was always more of a therapy for me. It wasn't like an ends to a mean or anything like that. So it's like, it's been easy to be more real about the journey, which is, it's not easy. It's very hard. It's messy. I mean, you've met more people than I have throughout this whole process, I'm sure, with it, but everybody's story is very unique. And I think, hearing the real story is what has the most effect on people's lives. So I've always tried to be very authentic with my journey. It's not been very pleasant at all times. And I think that resonates with people. I would hope.
Yes, it does. I agree. People connect with real, with raw, with vulnerable, other humans out there. That's what links people, because especially you have young onset, and it's a growing field, the young onset people, which is so strange because everybody thinks Parkinson's, older people are the only ones affected, but more and more younger individuals are being affected by it.
Yeah, and it typically is older. And I mean, here in Houston, we have like Houston area Parkinson's Society. We have like such an amazing, support system, but
yes,
even then it's mostly old people. And I think I've talked about this at length. It just feels really lonely having this disease being so young because there's no one really around, even in Houston. So I can only imagine in different parts of the country where they're
Yeah.
more rural, or there's just not a lot of people in general, or they don't have the support system. It's probably really, really lonely. And I know even here, there's just not a lot of people that have it, or that have it and are willing to come forward and
Right.
be a part of the support system for someone else, or have it for themselves.
Yeah. Almost every interview that I've done with George, I think it has been young onset. I remember this young lady, Sarah. There's people international too, all over the world with young onset, which is really interesting. And they share the same thing, that it is a struggle when you're young, when you're still a parent, when you're still in working years, it's just a lot more complicated, I think,
Yeah,
than
I mean,
people realize.
yeah, when you're young and you're working, your parent, all of that. I mean, there's more things that go into your day-to-day life than when you're retired and you're kind of
Right.
settled down, and you don't really have to be anywhere
Mm-hmm.
when you're young. I mean, you're both parents, it's
A
not
lot
just,
is expected from you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just your schedule, it's other people's schedules that factor into your day-to-day life. But
Absolutely.
that's where the social media, George touched on it. It kind of helps too, because when nothing beats in-person connection,
No.
but when you don't have a lot in person, to be able to go online and, you talk about people all over the world having it, it makes it feel less lonely, because even though the reality is there aren't a lot of people in individual cities throughout the world that have it, when you can just click on a button and everybody's there, it really does help kind of bridge that gap.
Even
Yeah.
even the show today wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the advances. I always tell Grether, only regret I have with obviously I miss my mother every day, but wish we had this technology then, because we would have had our own little show. It wouldn't have been about Parkinson, but I could have documented and about my own life and my mother growing up, and we didn't get that opportunity. And that's why I do love this, because like you said, we can bring the world to us now, and hopefully everyone listening. Also, if I always say, if we reach one person today that doesn't know that running or biking can actually hopefully slow the progression even a little bit, it might change their lives forever. And that's why I'm so grateful for our audience and everybody out there, and all our amazing guests. Some of the individuals, I don't know if you're on TikTok, I don't think you are, but there's a huge Parkinson's population that makes me smile every day, even through some of the tougher times through TikTok. But Instagram is also a big one. And in a minute, we're going to share that. But I wanted to ask you a little bit now about an organization or foundation that Grether and I support big time. Just got a donation the other day, but today I want to dedicate to you. So everyone listening, please go to John's social media, which I'm going to share. Instagram is raise.on.the.run, and also Facebook, but I'm going to again share in a moment and then add it to the notes so you can all help him. But I want everyone to donate to John today. This is for him, and I want you to support him. But something that's important to me is I met Mr. Michael J. Fox, and Grether did once also, so we both have. But I was wondering, what is so, I'll start off by amazing about Team Fox. Maybe you could tell us a little bit for everyone who isn't aware, but what Team Fox is, the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and why you decided to get on board with their incredible foundation.
Yes. Well, interestingly enough, Team Fox, they do, and they're doing it again this year. They have their big event at Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, and that was the very first race I ever ran. Was with Team Fox. It was a 5K, and back then when I'm first starting out, a 5K was a big deal to me. So I'm thinking I'm having to train for it and everything.
Do they
And so
still
I
do?
spent
Do they still do
a
those?
5K.
Do they still do 5Ks or no more? Just
Yeah,
marathon?
no, it's Marathon Weekend, but it's there's a guy named John down there. Interestingly enough,
Another
John
time.
also, he does the Dopey Challenge every year. He's got like a streak of Dopies going, which is a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon back to back to back.
Oh, he
Oh.
lost me after the 5K. That's about
And
maybe.
he's got Parkinson's too. So
What's his last name?
oh God, John,
I probably know.
look it up. I'll tell you later. It's
John,
him.
if you're listening, John, we love you, and we just wait to find you. But
It's so inspirational though. It really is, because it's
Right.
like I've done it once, and I did it once, and I said, "That's it. I'm never doing it
Never again.
ever again." And,
Ironically, we were in Disney yesterday, so 2 days or so, but
Yeah,
we barely made the 5 mile walk, let alone 5K. So,
yeah, exactly. And and my dad is actually the one that got me into it. He's like 70 something years old now, and
wow.
they were at Disney today on their way to Jacksonville or somewhere over there on the east side, on the East Coast. And yeah, he's going to run another half marathon. So
Wow.
it's weird where you get inspiration from, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's in your own backyard, it's in your own family. And just seeing him out there, I mean, he can run circles around me. The guy's 74, I think now, and he's faster than I am. So
I don't doubt it for 1 second. Anytime
so
you go to any race, you always see, the older couple or the older person running fast and
oh, yeah,
still going.
I saw
And
a
you're
meme.
like, how are they still standing? They're running.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day that said, no matter how fast you think you are, there's always someone pushing a jogging stroller that's faster than you.
Yes. There's always a mom or a dad with a stroller or an
Yeah.
elderly person that's faster than you.
I think every one of them passed me the other day on my turkey trot. And when you say
Seriously.
turkey trot, it's a run, but mine was literally a brisk walk or a trot. Let me
John,
take the.
when I first started running 5Ks, I actually trained for one too.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's funny because you think you can't run that distance because you've never done it,
Yeah.
but you are really the limitation. You are the one telling yourself that you can't do it. I would run 1 mile and stop because I thought that's all I could do. I
Well,
never tried to push further than that.
I've actually, this madness is contagious, because I've actually gotten my girlfriend to sign up for the
I
Houston
love it.
Society. They're a charity partner of the Chevron Houston
Yeah.
Marathon every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I got her to sign up for the 5K. And by got her to sign up, I signed her up and made her do it.
Well, I'm going to share some things. I don't know if you wanted to ask a question as I'm doing that, but we have a lot to get to. But
Yeah, John, can you share? Because I know that you said you had symptoms in your late 20s, early 30s. What were those symptoms?
It was mainly like mild tremor. I've never been really tremor dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always like rigidity with me, and the slowness of movement. And for me, it was kind of like a surprise. And it wasn't like I felt it at the time.
Right.
I didn't know. So it's kind of like looking back and realizing that, oh, wait a minute, this, and this was Parkinson's, and it was in my late 20s, early 30s. So
yeah, you have to reverse look at your symptoms and kind of.
yeah, exactly. And for me, it was like, I always hear people talk about, their diagnosis story and whatnot. And mine was like completely different. It was like instant. I was already in the doctor's office.
Oh.
Yeah, I was at a regular checkup, an appointment, and I'm literally about to get up and walk out. I'm done. We're finished. And my doctor notices my hand tremoring, and she goes, "What's up with that?" And I said, "What's up with what?" And she was like, "Your hand." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, nothing." It's, it didn't occur to me.
Right.
That one thing led to another. And on that very end of that appointment, and I always think about this, because it's like, if she hadn't noticed, if my hand had been in my pocket or whatever, if she hadn't noticed that, who knows how long I would have gone before getting diagnosed.
Or she was another type of doctor that wasn't really paying attention to the whole situation.
And it's, one thing led to another. And I literally, before I left that appointment, I was doing the Parkinson's test.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Clearly I failed it miserably, but that led to getting the DAT scan, the MRI, everything else that goes into diagnosing someone with Parkinson's. And sure enough, yeah.
Wow.
I was accidentally diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Do you think that having a diagnosis changed the way that you look at things, like your health and yourself?
Well, for positive, yes, eventually, but negatively at first. I did not take it well.
No.
spiraled. It was a mess. And I went down the whole internet rabbit hole that everybody else does.
Right.
They never show the best outcome. They always show the worst. So I'm thinking like, my life is over, and,
Yeah.
all these horrible thoughts. And at the same time, I'm also like, trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What do I do? And I remember at the time, I was getting, whatever algorithm I was getting was telling me like, tell everybody,
Oh.
yeah, just tell, that was the advice I was to tell
The
everybody.
universe was telling you.
Yeah. And so I remember I did that,
That's
and
funny.
it was the worst decision I've ever made in my life, because it was like way too much too soon. And
Right.
I kind of just jumped into being an advocate, and I wasn't ready. I was not emotionally ready for it, and it just burned me out. And I ended up taking a break, and I still take breaks, and I tell people that too. You can take a break from having Parkinson's. You can take a minute. You can take a breath. I'm always talking about, Team Fox or, Houston Area Parkinson Society and stuff. I take breaks from them. I go through periods of time where I just don't want to have Parkinson's. I don't want to be reminded of it. And I go find something else in life that I can be passionate about. And
That's fair. Yeah.
and it helps. It really does. And I don't think people realize that you can take you don't have to be this disease. It's like, I'm John with Parkinson's. I am not John Parkinson's. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I never heard anybody say that. That's a really interesting perspective.
That's I don't take breaks and chill.
No.
But I do want to bring you back to the areas you aren't taking a break, thankfully, today. And I wanted to share everybody for a moment. I want to first thank you for, if everyone's listening, or hopefully you're listening and watching, but go to TogetherForSharon.com, click interviews. You can see a full interview John did with me probably a year, July 23rd. It's amazing how quickly time goes.
Time does fly.
You can see back on a lot about his background, advocacy, and a lot of the other incredible information that we need several hours because it's so important. Then the most important today is his social media, which I kind of go on every day really and try to like and support. And I saw this with your son the other day, and we like to
cute.
do a live everything. But if you want to join him, it's right here, Reyes on the Run. It's a beautiful area, and we want to get this up to 1 million followers. And I won't rest. I won't take a break till we have that. So I promise you.
John, did you wait after Thanksgiving to put up your Christmas tree?
Actually, my son, my son's mom, my ex-wife, she's very much into Christmas, and she got it. So that was a picture of my place already decorated while I was at my parents' house in Fairhope, Alabama.
I love it. I love it.
Also, please follow John here, and you can see at Facebook, it's Reyes on the Run also, which is helpful, and you can see some important sponsors and things that he's been discussing, ambassadorships. I already liked all these before, so I like some as we're live, and I just think it's amazing. And then also, my research showed a lot with obviously Team Fox, a little area that they did when you were competing here. So there's a lot of places you can reach out to John and also help support him. But the most important is, I believe, the Instagram, and keep doing what you're doing, because I think it's all just beautiful. And like I always say and kind of joke that I kind of see you every day more than we might if you were my neighbors. It's an amazing part about this. And then as we move forward, my last area, and then we'll keep going because we still have a few more areas, is maybe you could talk us a little bit about DBS. What is it? How do you feel today and versus before? And when my mother didn't want to even talk about it or discuss it. She was 69 when she passed, so she was in her more 60s. I don't know if she was scared of it or we just, again, weren't aware back then. But I was wondering, what was that final decision that, told you it's time to now, do this procedure and move forward?
Well, for me, it was basically, I guess let's rewind a little. You can get DBS for more of like your tremor. It's about where they place the leads in your brain, or in my case, I was more like rigid. So, and that was like the dominating factor behind me was that it was getting so bad. The pain was so bad that it was starting to affect my running and my ability to run. And I just felt like this disease took so much from me. I didn't want to give it something else. And for me, that was the deciding factor for me. I totally sympathize with your mom and what her mindset was, because that's what mine was too. It was just too invasive. It was too, I have a child and we're talking brain surgery here. So it was always my mindset that I'm just not going to do that until, I'm not even going to consider it until my son is, out of the house, out of school. But, things change, and I started learning more about the procedure, and I realized it's not as invasive as you would think. It's giving a month out of your life away, though. It really is. I mean, it takes a month to have the surgery, recover from the surgery, and honestly, I'm the low end, I would say, a month, because I'm stubborn, and I was told not to run or anything, and I did it.
Oh no.
Sounds like me.
So, I mean, it's possible. Yes. I mean, I literally had surgery, and the next day I was at Run Club,
What?
at Run Club in the rain,
Oh God.
not running, but I was out there walking. And I think, it's also like, I know John Colin talks about it a lot, mindset. I don't know if you've interviewed him yet.
Yeah.
He talks about mindset a lot. And I think that mindset plays a lot into like how you can, not only live with this disease, but thrive with it. And as far as DBS goes, it's been a life changer for me. It has, I know I was worried, because at the very end, you have to go through all of these tests and things to even be qualified for it. And the last one for me was the what's it called? The neuropsych evaluation. That's what it is. And it's basically just testing to see if you are cognitively okay enough to have the test, to have the procedure, because it could actually make you worse.
Right.
So for me, it was like I was having a lot of cognitive problems, and I was worried about that. But one thing I learned during that whole process was that I was also very depressed at the time, and I learned that it could make you even more depressed. So they were concerned about that. And I'm not saying, this is my own personal experience with the procedure. Ever since I had it, and before it even turned on, just the lead placement itself, I have not been depressed at all. It just like, it was just gone like that.
That's incredible.
I know. And it's, and I'm also actually a part of a trial with Baylor College of Medicine. They're doing a trial trying to see what kind of non-motor symptoms they can actually fix with DBS. So I go back, I think, in February or something like that. So that's something interesting too, because
Non-motor meaning cognitive?
non-motor meaning like, your motor symptoms are like, tremor, slowness of movement, rigidity, things like that. Non-motor is more like apathy, depression.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the things that you wouldn't think of when you think of Parkinson's. It's like the other extra stuff, and it's that kind of stuff that I think is actually worse than the motor symptoms at times. But yeah, that was gone. It's really helped with my rigidity after they turned it on. I've been programmed. Yeah, I'm out there running. I just posted on my Instagram that I'm back to running in the 10s, and I haven't been that fast since when I first started. I was running 8s, and I never thought I could get back into the 10s. And it gave me hope, like, hey, well, now it's the 9s, and maybe I'll be in the 8s, and maybe the 7s one day, who knows? And I think more than anything, it's just really given me a lot of hope for my own future.
That's amazing.
Amazing how research and things have changed over the last decade. A lot of the companies, I won't say the name, but they also do the back stimulator. And it's I had to do a psychological event also before even being allowed to do it, and we haven't done it yet, but I'm close. But the back is obviously different than the brain, but still very similar in kind of scary also. And it looks like I probably will end up doing it, even though we postpone it. But that's my dream, is to be able to run again, because I'm completely unable to do much anymore. And again, this is not about backs. I have to have a different show on that, but it's just interesting that the companies are literally the same ones who do the back and the brain. And now,
Yeah.
in a way, I've seen a little bit more of the procedure and spoken more to those companies about the process. And then, and that was, by the way, not to bash anyone, but the psychological is very expensive if you don't have insurance. And then I ended up not doing it. So hopefully that'll be interesting. But, I do appreciate sharing that with us, because many of the listeners are interested in the DBS. Some have actually done it on the show. Some didn't like it, some did. And it's, again, interesting. Everyone's journey is so different.
Yeah, it is. John, I wanted to ask you, who do you look up to in the Parkinson's community?
Oh, I mean, I can't single anybody.
Just one person.
It's just one specific person. No,
Just one. No,
the
kidding.
community as a whole, because
No,
we're
it
more
could be a lot of people, yeah.
yeah, we're more than one person. It's the community as a whole. I mean, because everybody has their own little story to tell, and yeah, it's just, I talked about John running the dopey challenge every year. That, to me, that's inspiring to me, because
Yeah.
it's something I'm into, and it's something, you connect with people that are more into what you're into.
Yeah.
Or proximity wise. I recently met Melissa, who does the podcast with y'all. She lives close by, and we got to finally meet up and do the they had like a monthly get together or something for young onset. And yeah, she's somebody that inspires me, just with
That's
her.
awesome.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
And just the people that are active and just refusing to just quit, refusing to be afraid. The fear, I think, really cripples you more than the disease at times, because you think, I can't do something because of this, or you get into that mindset that I can't run, or I can't get on a bike, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And part of what's nice about having my local Parkinson's community is I can see with my own two eyes people that are really advanced just reverse it. I've literally seen people reverse it just by going on, weekly walks. And I remember having a talk with Kathleen, who's the head of she's the director of HAPS here. I was like, I don't know if you noticed this, but and I pointed to an elderly woman here. I won't say her name, but she was like, when she first started the walk, she was very like practically being like, I mean, just on a walker and everything. By a few months go by, and she's doing circles around all of us, and it's crazy that. And I think the fear of getting hurt, or for every medal I've gotten and race I've finished, I've also had falls, and there's been blood spilled and all kinds of things. But I don't let that fear of that happening, or the pain associated with it, stop me from doing what I love to do. And I think a lot of people are scared, and I think if more people, and this is where what y'all are doing is great, because it shows that there are people that out there that don't be afraid. You don't there's nothing to be afraid of. And to me, it's like, if you can get over that fear, no matter what age or no matter how far along you are, and it's good not to compare yourself to someone else.
Right.
So to me, it's like, okay, well, you don't have to go out there and run a marathon, but if you like to garden or whatever you like to do, and it's being impacted by this disease, maybe seeing that somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing will help you get to that point in your life to where you can do what you like. Yeah. And I think that where this kind of, the internet, all of this plays in, is it helps people to see that, hey, wait, I don't need to be afraid. I can get out there and do this. I can give it a shot. And I think most people will be pleasantly surprised by the results.
I
Yep.
think to your point, John, and also probably what helped that lady the most too was that sense of connection and that sense of community.
Exactly.
Truly, because that's what's on the other side of fear is love and
Yes.
connection.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and that's why it's like, oh, I can't pick one person, I can't pick two. The whole community, it really is. It's the collective story, and it really does inspire me. I know, just clicking on somebody's thing and seeing them going out for a run or something someday, and I know there's been days where I just can't get out of bed, and I see it, and it's that little extra push to get you up and to get going, and that's really, you know, that's amazing.
I agree.
We reached an important time in the show. It's called the lightning round, but we have no lightning and with no rounds or fighting. So that's really, I don't know why we called that. And we tried the sound effects, but
It's catchy. It's very catchy.
yeah. Well, I tried sound effects, but only I heard it, and then we decided let's move on. So, pretend you hear some lightning. Here we go. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
Empathetic, caring, stubborn.
How do you think we can better promote Parkinson's awareness?
I think if more people just, you know, do what we're doing right now and just have a conversation, a public conversation, then yeah, I think more people will become aware. It's not just about the people with Parkinson's, because we're all very much aware about Parkinson's. It's
Right.
about, that's the hard part, is getting it out to people that don't have it or don't know somebody, and that's the real challenge.
If you were asked to write a script about to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and who would play your role in the movie?
I'll pull a Sylvester Stallone and insist that and I starred in a commercial, so I'm an actor now.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know what I would call it.
I've never missed
never give up.
I never missed the episode of Tulsa King. Thank you. That's a free plug for Mr. Stallone. If you're watching, we'll have you on the show anytime. He's actually just a community a few over. So anyway, and then finally, to wrap up, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, which you kind of did the whole show, but again, what would those words of encouragement be?
Just never give up. I mean, there's a really good life with Parkinson's. It's not easy, but nobody's life is easy. I mean, look at what you're going through with your back and everything. And believe me, I follow your journey just as much as you follow mine. And everybody has something, and just don't get into your head and just convince yourself that life is over, it's not worth it, or just all the negative thoughts. You just have to drown all of that out and take that one little step. It's such a tiny step to get, you know, to a place where you're better, and life gets so much better.
Well, I wanted to thank you, John, and of course my amazing wife in the next room, Grether, for joining us today. I do want to again hope that everyone will support John at raise.on.the.run at Instagram, Facebook. You can read his beautiful interview we did together, which again I'm grateful forever for. And I hope that we can not just share this one time, but many times a year, many times forever, because till there's a cure at everyone's doorsteps throughout the world, not just, of course, the U.S., I'm not going to stop fighting, and neither will Grether or John. We're all here for you, with you, and just been an honor. I have a little message, though, for you, John, and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone, as John actually said again. Can keep saying it over, because it's true. I, along with Grether and John, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And I always kind of joke and end with I'm just getting started, because obviously I'm not. But every time I kind of have a thing, like you said, in my life, or Grether does, and we are struggling, or, you know, we kind of just brush it off a little and look at all those fighting Parkinson today, and we get right back up, even if it was even from after I woke up from anesthesia. I picked up the phone and said, I see John, we're going to keep fighting for Parkinson's cure. And that's really what pushes me to keep doing it. Seeing your journey, your story, and our friendship means the world to me. And again, I'm so grateful we were able to meet today. So thank you again for that.
Thank you, George, for all that you do.
Thanks. And just wanted to wrap up and say thank you, everyone listening. It's been a beautiful moment. Again, I love having Grether with me because together it's just a pleasure. And I like just watch. Maybe I'll skip this one and watch John and Grether play because you guys did amazing. But I just want to thank everyone for listening. Please share this. This has been another episode of the Together for Sharon podcast, but we don't end here. We don't stop. We keep fighting till, again, the cure is at everyone's doorsteps around the world. So we send our love. Be safe with this holiday season coming, and really we'll be thinking of you all. And John, I'd love to run by your side, but for now I'm gonna watch. We're gonna cheer you from the sideline. I think we should all try and make one of these Disney ones because it's not that far from us, and we were just there. I'd rather go and kind of cheer you on. Maybe I can. I don't know if they have the dopey walk because I'll be going to that one, the dopey part. But anyway, all right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We love you. Thank you, John. We also send our love to your family and your son and everybody behind the scenes. Didn't have the moment, but I do want to thank them because it's a lot of time individuals behind the scenes, which a lot of time Grether is from me, really are our support, our warriors too. And we wouldn't be able to do this without them. So send our love to your entire family. Also, obviously, Team Fox, Michael J. Fox Foundation, and the Houston area. They're amazing. They've been on the show, and we love them and send our love. And again, finally, just please follow John and support all that he does, and let's try to send some donations his way. It'll hopefully help him to get to Disney and to be able to keep running for many, many years to come. And maybe we'll zoom in one day live while you're, I already have enough things going on while you're running. Megan, I don't know if you know Megan, she's with Team Fox, but she's been a pleasure, and we're going to try that too, I think, someday. I don't even know if you might run with her, probably. You probably know her, but
Yeah, I think she's we're both ambassadors for a
yeah.
running apparel company, so we've kind of met through that way.
Well, see, it's a small world, and thankfully,
That
we, last thing is, it's sad during the holidays or earlier that we lost my mother, but out of the darkness and some sadness has come incredible positive things like our relationship and everyone too listening. So again, we thank you too. This show wouldn't be possible without all of you. So please share it. Please keep watching, and so much more to come. So thank you all. Thanks, John. Thanks, Grether. See you. I'll see you, Grether, in a minute. I'll see you, John, online very soon. Sending
all
out
right.
love. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Ay, Dios.